my goodness, a little bit of this, little bit of that, little bit of love goes a long, long way. At least that's what the old Grandpaw Koyote say here on the Hazy Radio Network with what? Your morning wake-up call. Darn rights, man. Time to get up and get them sandy sleepers out of your eyes. But let me treat you gently, you guys. You know, that's why we give you a smooth old Santana preceded by that old smoke from a distant fire. Oh, my goodness, suspicious minds. Ooh. Hey, babies, when you're living in love, you know just what to do. This life can be awfully challenging and confusing at times. And I myself have been misled in some areas of my dream, you know, but babies, I always come back to the centering thing, always come back to life, always come back to love. Always get it right, even though I got it wrong sometime along the way. It was right anyway, man. It all works out in the wash, in other words. Just takes a little time to play it out, that's all. Gotta stay with it, you know, stick with the program, stick what you know is right in your heart, follow the flow of your deepest emotion, you see, and that's when you get to the place where you start to unravel the mystery of life, you know, and it becomes not such a challenge anymore, you know. Hey, and I'm talking from experience, yeah, but I'm also talking from the point of a beginner, man, because gee whiz, ain't we all? I mean, man, just about the time you think you got the hang of it, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and you got slammed, man. You didn't even see it coming, you know. Son of a gun. It can take you for a run, you know. I remember this time last year, old Grandpa went for a little run, a little side trip, but had a great time doing it. See, guys, it's all in your attitude. If you got gratitude, no one, nothing can take advantage of you. Nothing can bowl you over, knock you off your pedestal. Well, if you're on one, or wherever you happen to be standing, I think most of us are on pedestals in one sort or another. We awfully high, so I can tell you that, guy. But yeah, just about the time you think you're doing it just right, and boy, the cosmic warehouse has opened its doors, and truckload after truckload of love is coming your way, man, you know, and then you get a little side trip. Something happens, man, you know, somebody bats an eyeball, a little butterfly flies by, and you can't resist. You got to follow that thing to wherever it's going. And the next thing you know, it's with a butterfly you're flowing in, man. You're a human bingle. You can't flap it like the butterfly does, but you try. But sooner or later, the butterfly got to fly, and so do you, and so do I. But babies, in the moment in time when the butterfly and the bean are doing that magic thing, oh my goodness, that's spreading the wings of the universe wide. Baby, that's taking everybody for a great love ride. And any confusion and any pain that might go along with that might not be seen as gain, oh, babies, it's just feeding the fire of love. You see, that's what it's all about. It's the love we can share in the moments we can share it. It's not this stacked up game where we got to be obsessed with one another and move in and settle down and raise up a family, so to speak. Oh, what a crock of shit. Hey, but we've all done it. It's a beautiful thing. Ain't nothing wrong with it. It just ain't the most ideal path for us now, is it? In this challenging life, it just makes it that much more challenging, and it also puts us in a point where we're basically enslaved to an economic system that, you know, won't let up on us till those kids are raised and we're sitting in the rocking chair and getting ready to pay the doctor the rest of our estate to die at their evil old hands. Well, I speak rather loosely. Not all medical personnel are evil. There might be a handful or two out there got some right. I remember the movie MASH. No, that kind of doctors can't be bad, now can they? Oh, we got you guys good, didn't we, man? Gee whiz, what did I do with my coffee? I look, my coffee cup's over there on top of the coffee pot, and I can't get a sip. Oh, well, I guess I'll have to talk to you this morning then. So here's a wake and bake for you, babies, right here from the heart of good old Grandpaw Koyote, man. The man with the plan here at 9,000 feet, man in the spaceship love, coming to you, radiating that love from high above, because we go even higher than this. This is just where we take off, babies. 9,000 feet, hell, that's just the beginning, man. Ooh, here we go, babies. Little toke on some Rocky Mountain homegrown get your day started just right, man. And then you don't even care if the coffee cup's over there on the top of the pedestal. You can't get to it now anyway. It don't matter, man. You're already got a good little caffeine buzz on. What more do you need anyway, old man? Gee whiz. Hell, I gotta tell you the truth. I don't even feel the caffeine buzz. I drink cup after cup after cup, and, you know, it might upset my equilibrium as far as food balance and blood sugars and stuff, but I don't notice the buzz, you know. It's really strange. Oh, unless it's really, you know, crap coffee, then you will, because that crap coffee has more caffeine in it than anything. But the good stuff, the caffeine's so refined, you don't even hardly notice it, you know. I'm talking about organic coffee, the best kind, the kind that really gets your day started right, the kind that when you put it up to your lips, that aroma wafts up into your face, and God, you just know life is good, you know. The sleepers just melt from your eyes, then you don't even have to rub them away, man. I mean, everything just is happy and beautiful when you got a righteous cup of organic coffee in your hand, man, steaming just fresh off the pot. Oh, God, yes, yes, yes. It's Free Day Friday on the Coyote Medicine Show, and we're dreaming of the best coffee on earth. And guess what? I can't take it anymore. I got to get up and get my mug. I'll be right back, guys. Gee whiz, I can't help it, man. You know, when you're on the go and you're in the flow, you can't always remember what you're doing, don't you know? You know, the old man has a lot on his plate out here in this mysterious old spaceship love, man. You know, when I'm doing this show here, this movie we call life here on the Coyote Medicine Show, man, I'm really, really in the flow, but I got lots of technocratic things going on around me too that I have to take care of, and I also have to dispense with my physical needs at times, take care of the doggy, etc., etc. I'm a busy little guy, plus stay on the chat room and keep you all entertained with my bouncy little heart. Oh, it's a challenging life indeed. But guys, I got it so darn easy, you wouldn't believe it. Yeah, I screw up every now and then. I forget to turn the sound up, man. I had to look down now, make sure I had it on. Sometimes I forget to do this, forget to do that. Leave my coffee cup over there on the doggone pedestal. Well, here's to all of that, babies, you know. Here's to being a clumsy little futz pucker here in this life, and who cares, man? It's a beautiful life. We got MaryJane on our side, gateway to paradise. Baby, we got everything going for us. And, you know, we no longer live in the land of confusion or the land of pain. Those things are no longer things that put a strain on our brain. We're done with that, and salute to you, babies. Oh, God. So, you know, that's the experience I'm talking about. A righteous, organic coffee, you know. Now, this is what Grandpa's going to help you get, I think, in your old lunch sack. Your breakfast repertoire, I should say. Is, you know, because there's a billion brands of coffee out there. I mean, shoot, everybody and their dog's gone into the coffee business these days. And some of them know what they're doing, and some of them don't. And some of them put out a righteous bean, and some of them couldn't do it if they had to, you know. They're just doing it because they want to make money. They don't give a shit, you know. It's sad, you know. Some of the biggest companies in the coffee business are some of the worst producers of coffee because they don't have a clue. It's just like MJ and the commercial aspects. It's the same way. With just about anything, really, but especially in the coffee business because it's one of those things, you know. It's the mineral of the morning. It helps bring the sunrise up inside. Gives your heart that warm old starch, you know. Conveys a little bit of Mother Earth's love along with the transformative energy of fire. First you roast it, then you brew it. Yeah, right, see? Fire, 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 man, you know. And it fires us up in the morning if it's a righteous cup of coffee. Now, I don't know what happened to Folgers, because when I was a kid, you know, Folgers was the standard brand everywhere. And you always cost you 10, 20 cents more a tin than the other stuff. But it was good shit, you know. And yeah, it had a bit too much of a caffeine buzz, but it was good shit. It tasted good. It had that aromatic flavor, that organic feel, the earthy, fire, flamey feeling that gets you so rolling in the morning, you know. It was good shit, in other words, you know. Now I'm talking when I was 12, 13, you know, something like that. I'd be back way in the late 50s, early 60s, something like that, you know. Well, I got to admit, I'll tell you this story. Why not? Hell, it's Free Day Friday. Anything goes. Let's tell you the Aspen jail story, man. Oh, shocking. Jail? What's that? Don't tell me my grandpa's been in jail. Oh, no. Well, when I was a child, I was rather confused with the dictatorial reality around me. I didn't like people telling me I had to do this and had to do that and had to be this way and had to talk to God this way and had to write my ass that way and wipe my ass that way and all this shit. You know, it's like, no, I don't do that, you know. I can't take this. So, you know, I was always looking over the mountains there from our little valley in paradise there over in Utah, trying to find a way out of that place, you know, some way to free myself up from that culture. I'd been, you know, the year before I made a little journey with my aunt on the bus. We actually took a trailways over to Colorado one time. Went and visited with some of her friends and hung out for a few days. My aunt was really gracious with me. She really loved me, man. She was my surrogate mama and my grandma, all that shit, you know, put together. Well, anyway, so we had a great time. But the thing I noticed in Colorado, when I got away from my people, you know, and was just myself, folks were treating me like a person. You know, and they weren't looking down their noses at me or expecting anything from me or anything. They just took me at face value, basically, you know. I didn't know what that was at the time. I just knew I really liked the feeling of it, you know. And on top of that, then these people were helpful. If they said hi, good morning, they frickin' meant it, you know. It was a beautiful thing, man. And you could sit down there in Palisade, Colorado and have a nickel cup of coffee. Coffee for a dang nickel, you know. In those days, it was pushing a dime just about everywhere, you know, so nickel coffee was rare. And here was Colorado with nickel coffee. Ooh, that tasted good, man, you know. Sometimes you go to restaurants, you get this coffee, it tastes like something they brewed under your armpits, you know. The smell of it just puts wrinkles in your faces. That's why some of us that hang out in coffee shops get old and wrinkled so early, because we've put some shit coffee in front of our faces. But here's a nickel cup of coffee, righteous people, righteous coffee, righteous energy. And I just 11, 12 years old when I first encountered all of that over there in western Colorado, you know. And I say to myself, son of a gun, this is an all right place. I'm coming back here sometime. And so I did. You know, about a year later, man, I kiped a car from a guy that owed my family a lot of money and figured I was just even in the score. It was an old piece of shit Buick. He wasn't driving, just sitting in his garage collecting dust. Hell, he wasn't using it. Why shouldn't I? I mean, you know, he owed my old man about, you know, a year's worth of production. You figure that out. It's a lot of money, man, a lot of money. We suffered for years because of that loss. I figured, shit, this dude owed us at least this old Buick. Shit, wasn't worth $100, you know, wasn't worth 25 back then, you know. So I wasn't really doing anything but even in the score a little bit and providing myself with a means of transportation by which I could vacate the premises of good old shiny old Utah and head over the mountain and see what was on the other side. You know, it was my turn, man. I was getting the hell out of there. The wanderlust had got me strong, and the energy of, I mean, you know, I wasn't really as angry as it sounds like. Well, inside I was raging, of course. But on the surface world, it wasn't really so angry at anybody or anything. I just wanted out of there. I'd had enough, you know. And I persuaded a buddy to go with me, so the two of us went bumming around, western Colorado in this old Buick when we could keep it running, keep gas in it. A lot of times we're walking, park it down under somebody's tree for a little while because we ain't got no money for gas, etc. But we did all right, man. But ultimately we wound up after some real encounters with some very gracious and beautiful people. God. You know, that journey, for all of its hassle that it wound up giving me in my life, it was, you know, a few weeks of just wonder for me. It was the first freedom I'd really tasted in my life, and it really tasted sweet. And the people that I encountered were so damn kind to me, you know. Shoot, this one dude gave me a cabin to live in. Brought me into his family just like a member of the family. It was rather a large family, I think 8 kids, you know, young, bustling, agricultural ranching couple out there in Colorado. Fairly typical at the time, man. Beautiful place. And beautiful people, man, you know, and just sit down and eat breakfast with them, sit down and eat dinner with them, you know. Oh, and you can stay in the cabin out back for a couple of weeks while we're doing the harvest, etc. See, so I'd encountered all kinds of wonderful things and moments like that, not without a few hassles to go with it. But, you know, I saw ribbons of gold in the silvery Colorado, for real. You know, I really did. I'd stand on that bridge over that river, over there in the western slope, and I would look down at that water, and I would see rivulets of gold shining in the water as it made its way towards the great Pacific Ocean, somewhere way down on the other side of the Grand Canyon, which was quite a ways away from where I was then, you know. God, I tell you, I just, you know, that was a transformative experience for me. That told me that there was some support for me out there. There was some love for me out there. There was a real life waiting for me, and the people would not refuse me. They weren't going to treat me like I was getting treated over in Utah, mainly because I was acting up and would not obey the Nazi Empire of Mormonism. And it was pretty God-blessed Nazified back then, and my parents were like steeply indoctrinated in it. And I mean steeply, and it was difficult to the extreme, especially 12, 13, man. I was so restless. I couldn't take it. The pressure was just killing me, you know. No, I can't do this, you know. Of course, that's about a year after I fell out of the truck and bonked my noggin on the highway going like 40 miles an hour, you know, and I somehow lived to tell about that. I was out of the body for a little while, but I did come back. Another story for another day, but... You know, so then, you know, everybody's saying, oh, he got bonked on the head, and that's why he's running away. And I'm like, you dumb shit. You wouldn't know your ass from a hole in the ground. I mean, there was nobody there I could talk to. Nobody there who could share this experience with me. Even my buddies and friends that couldn't relate. You know, there were just some things I just had to keep to myself and keep partying down with, because sooner or later I'd get it figured out, and sooner or later I'd get it wired down with somebody that could understand at least a little of it. I had that hope in my heart, and boy, Colorado kind of fulfilled it, because there was a lot of understanding and kind people out there. Even though they might not have understood your particular journey, they had that understanding way, because they were all in it with you. You know what I mean? It was more of a together feeling than I'd ever experienced in Utah, you know. Of course, you know, I'd been treated rather roughly, because I'd been rather rough with it, you know. Used to get my ass beat a lot, you know. It was real common in those days. It was considered a decent practice to beat the hell out of your kids when they acted up, and so, you know, that would happen a lot. But I wasn't beaten down. See, I was just getting the hell out. I was getting away from that shit. Enough of that. I'm old, man. I'm 12, 13 years old, whatever I was. Wasn't very old, really, but boy, in my mind, I thought I was. Thought I was ready, man. Yeah, jeez, oh. And just before we got busted, we finally wound up in Aspen, because all the little harvest things ran out. Got towards the end of October, 1st of November. It was getting damn cold out there, too. You know, and we didn't have a place to stay anymore, except for that old car and these skimpy-ass sleeping bags I had. God, you'd freeze to death in those things. There just wasn't a good sleeping bag to be had back then, at least not that I could find anyway. So conditions were getting a little rough. Money was, you know, we spent our last 99 cents, bought 2 bowls of chili and a package of cookies with our last 99 cents. Now you figure out how you could do that today. Ha! Can't even buy a cookie for that, you know. But that's what we did with our last 99 cents. And, you know, it was kind of a wind-down time. Me and my buddy went and sat by the tracks down there below Aspen and just contemplating our fate and trying to decide whether we should turn our nose back to Utah, where we at least get some food that was paid for and shit, or whether we wanted to continue our journey. And from that moment, we set forward with new confidence, over a ton of depression, and tried to get ourselves a job in Aspen, and subsequently got busted by the local sheriff and put in the Hoosgow as runaways, you know, which is, well, in truth, what we were. But, you know, Utah has this long arm of the law, and it reaches out way beyond the borders. And back in those days, that was considered a criminal offense to run away from home, let alone the fact that I borrowed somebody's car to do it. It was an interesting adventure, baby. The ramifications, they bit me on the bum quite hard, but we'll talk about that later. But in the Aspen jail, they fed us homemade food, you know, and they're supposed to give us 2 meals a day, you know, and it's just this big old steel cage in the basement of the jailhouse. It's kind of sophisticated for its day. I mean, this is like about 61, something like that, 1961 or so. And so, you know, they had electric openers and closers on the doors and shit. Pretty exotic stuff, you know, for a little mining town in Colorado, you know. Aspen wasn't the great big highfalutin place that it is now. Back then it was pretty simple. Yeah, there was some rich folks around and they had a hell of an airport because of it. But outside of that, it wasn't too crowded there. You know, it still kind of had what we'd call a yuppie feel to it now. It was in that state of change. You know, I think there was only one ski lift there then at the time. Only one down there at the end of town, you know. Kind of like Park City back in its day of beginning. About the same thing, really, you know. Except Aspen was a little more developed because there were some richer folks there. You could tell there's some fine planes sitting on the runway down there at the airport. And like I said, it's a big old long strip for a little tiny mining town. So you knew something was going on there. They were landing private jets, etc., you know. So you knew something was going on there. And here was this exotic old jail, you know, and with electronic door openers and closers, you know. Amazing stuff, you know. So me and my buddy are in there, you know, and these people are trying to be kind with us because they know we're just kids, you know. We don't, but they do, you see. And, you know, the mama, she cooks the jailhouse food. And, oh, my God, it was righteous. This lady could cook, man. Oh, and the coffee, out of this world. You know, before that, I'd been a cream and sugar kid, you know, because I was a softie. I was just figuring coffee out, you know. The babies, you know, in the jail, of course, you don't get all those fancy accoutrements like cream and sugar. You get your coffee black, baby, and you enjoy it, too. Well, God bless you, I did. Wow. I wanted to adopt this woman, man, as my mama, you know. And guess what? She wanted to adopt me, man. If I hadn't come from such a preeminent family at the time, you know, as it was anyway, you know, because the requirements on me, very heavy, you know. I inherited a tradition there, you know what I mean, that I was supposed to fulfill. And I was really very unwilling to fulfill it. This was just part of my protest, you know. No, I ain't going to do that. But this woman was so kind to us and fed us 3 times a day instead of 2. Would bring the family dog down and let us play with him during the day while they were off doing other things, you know. And we played ball with that little dog all day long, me and my buddy. It was just me and my buddy and one other guy who was pretty laid back. He wasn't really a criminal either, just a guy that got into a jam, and ultimately he got out of there way before we did, you know. So it was just the 2 of us mainly after that. But God, we were so well treated. I didn't, you know, I'd never been in a jail before. Didn't even know what it felt like. Well, I found out. And, you know, it can be pretty God-blessed depressing, you know. But it had its brighter sides. The sheriff and I saw eye to eye, and his woman would stand there and pass the time of day with us while we was consuming her food and flatter in her reality, because goodness gracious, like I said, this woman could cook, and this is where I got addicted to black coffee, and good coffee at that. It was just Folgers, like I said. Of course, now I imagine the love that this woman put into that food, the respect she showed for the people around her. I imagine that went into that coffee, too, so I'm sure it greatly affected the flavor, you know. And this woman so cared for me and my buddy, you know. And we were both just a couple of wayfaring kids, you know, trying to do the best we can with what we got to operate on, you know, just kids. Didn't know our ass from hole in the ground, man. Yet living like, you know, trying to be the adult thing already, you know. Couldn't wait to grow up and get the hell out of there. Yet when I did grow up, I stayed there for quite a while before I did get the hell out of there. It's funny how it goes, man. But not in my hometown, but in that general area. Traveled all around. That's what held me there for a bit, because I could travel and journey. But anyway, long story. We'll go back to that one sometime. But this one, the coffee story, you know. And I'm telling you what, ever since then, you know, I think it was the love, and I've been addicted to that love. And that's what I feel in my coffee in the morning, especially when I drink it from one of these MaryJane mugs that I make for you here. If you haven't been over to the KOYOTEKLUB.com, go over there and take a look, see what we got. You might like it, you know. But anyway, when I take it from this sacred chalice of love, this coffee mug with MaryJane emblazoned upon it. Oh, it's just like being back in the jailhouse in Aspen, Colorado, and that first sip of coffee in the morning, man, with the steam rolling up in your eyes is like, oh, yeah, this is life. Living in high places, mountain air, clear and clean, and righteous coffee. Oh, especially if you can boil it on a fire, and that's where I would imagine this coffee came from. It was the old style, percolated stuff, you know. With all that oily shit in it. Yeah. That's some gritty old coffee, man, I'll tell you. Cowboy coffee, exactly, baby. And I tell you, and I grew an addiction to that stuff right there and then, and from then on throughout my life, I've been on this journey to find the ultimate cup of coffee. I've been in and out of the coffee business a little bit in my life, etc., you know, so it's become quite the passion for me, you know. I think the most fun I had with it when me and one of my exes had a little coffee house over there in, where the hell was that? Guthrie, Oklahoma. I love that place. Except it don't got no mountains. But it's got some really cool souls there. And a lot of righteous energy, man. You know, we were there to help balance things out a little bit for a bit. You know, I did make a sojourn to the flatlands for a while. And she and I opened up this little coffee shop called Campfire Coffee. And, of course, I had to have my little quote on the front window. Civilization has its beginnings around an open fire. And, of course, the passion of the whole place was the ultimate cup of coffee. Put out the very damn finest coffee I could lay my hands on, you know. And when I found somebody, at first I was getting it from this mountain coffee company over here. It's really good, you know, puts out an excellent product. But then I found this guy down there in Oklahoma City that just loved the coffee bean as much as I did, you know, and would just, you know, pay personal attention to every pound that went out of the place, you know, and he was, you know, a coffee wholesaler, so there's a lot of pounds. And so I switched over to his coffee, and he and I set off on this pursuit to find the ultimate campfire blend, you know, the thing that was going to work best. Or maybe it wouldn't even be a blend, maybe it'd be a certain bean, but we went for the search, man. You know? I think we're still on it, but we're getting awfully close. That was many years ago now, man. But that coffee shop became famous. And part of it was my passion for coffee, which really interprets out to a passion for people and hanging out in places where people like to socialize, i.e., what? Coffee shops. Yeah, baby. Well, welcome to the coffee clubs of the Coyote Club here this morning on the Coyote Medicine Show here on the Hazy Radio Network. Now you know how old coyotes get their start, man. Shoot. It ain't always easy, man. But life, oh my goodness, I slopped it on my beard. Life is such a beautiful place to be in. Beautiful place. I mean, you know, it's one thing I had to appreciate about Aspen back then. God, that place was spectacular. Still is, of course. Even with all the buildup that's gone on around, it's still beautiful. Beautiful country, you know. High vibe energy. And, you know, I'll bet you even with all the Hollywood stars living there and all that uppityness going on, I'll bet you there's still a bunch of good real folk over there, Aspen and Carbondale and Panoia and places like that, man. You know, I bet there's still a bunch of rockin' folk. I know Colorado, and I tell you what, these are the rockin'est folk in the universe, you know, as far as human existence goes. 'Cause they've always had this flow, this little extra that only people that live close to the land can have. You know, it's that, you know, it's a little bit of the cowboy and the pioneering spirit where we had to look out for one another. Even if we were deadly enemies, we were friends about certain things because we knew we had to get along in this world and support one another, you know. Well, that's a little of the energy of the old Colorado. And it still exists to this day, of course. But there's a lot of folks here that just don't get it. Shit. I mean, folks come here from the east, they're scared to death when people say howdy and try to give them a handshake or a hug, you know, they're like, ah! You have to laugh. They're real jumpy, real paranoid, you know. It takes them a little while to settle into the reality and realize people really don't mean no harm when they say good morning. They just mean, hey, how are you? We love you. You know, good morning, that's what it says, you know. They just don't quite get that. Well, hey, good morning to you guys in a Colorado way. You feel that? Now you understand what I mean, don't you? Now you know why this little child, when he was in his upbringing years, couldn't resist the pole of Colorado, man. It's always been magic for me over here, you know. I love the mountains love me. I mean, you know, it's just natural for this old man to be in such a place, don't you see? Huh? But I've lived in paradise and other places too, man. I've been around in a beautiful sort of way. I mean, paradise goes with me wherever I go. How about you? You living in it too? You getting in that flow? You enjoying yourself sipping this old rank old cowboy coffee with Grandpa sitting here by the campfire on the radio, babies? Oh, yeah. I think we're in the right place at the right time and with just the right people. I think we're just getting a good beginning on this morning, just getting ourselves, you know, up and running. I think this is your wake-up call once again, you know, says Grandpa with a huge old grin, but not too big because I don't want you to see my skanky teeth. I'm old, you know, so I got skanky teeth now. Wow. I guess I'm just going to have to convince myself to grow a whole new set of choppers. You think we can do that? Can we grow Grandpa a set of choppers today? Why not? I'm sure there's somebody out there that makes them. They can send them to me FedEx. I'd have them by tomorrow morning. Oh, darlings, it's good to have you along on this flight. Good to pull your chain a little bit here this early. You know, this is what gets us going, right? The gentle side of the humorous, loving life that we live. We can sit here and talk about the harshest of things. I mean, a child that goes to jail and shit like that. I mean, but in reality, it's not a harsh thing at all. It's just life living and, you know, experience and growing up and being who you are, trying to find that, you know. Well, guess what? I found it. And I'm finding it still right along with you here day in and day out. And God, there ain't nothing like a free day Friday on the Coyote Medicine Show. You never know what you're going to get here anyway, but this is Free Flow Friday, man. Oh, and you want to be tuned in tonight on the MaryJane Gateway to Paradise television show on the CCN network. I put links up on the Facebook pages, etc., so you can find your way there. It's over on live stream. Conscious Consumer Network, CCN, MaryJane Gateway to Paradise, hosted by you-know-who, man, in live and living color and all that good shit. Right here from the paradise, a spaceship love, 9,000 feet high in the Rocky Mountain sky. Ooh, 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 that's me, that's you. That's G-Root, too, man. She might be joining us tonight. We got a special guest tonight coming on, Linda West, you know, an internationally known reporter, you know, for a worker in the light of truth, a restaurateur, I don't even know how, tour, that's what it is, restaurateur, for many years, you know, a beauty queen if ever there was one, you know, a star horizon, so brightly on the horizon. I mean, you know, she's just letting it all hang out in her videos and her books and so forth. And baby, she's got a huge following as a result. And guess what? She's just come up with a new MaryJane cookbook, you know, by some strange coincidence. So here we are talking about MaryJane with Linda West tonight, and probably a whole lot of other stuff too. You want to be there because you're not square at all, you know, and us roundies got to stick together like roundies do, you know. You notice roundies can rub shoulders, but you know, the corners, the notches that hold everybody else together, they just roll along. We don't have any, you know. That's what a roundy does. It just rolls through life while we're rocking. And oh, babies, now I know old Grandpa's got to talking. See, I do my function. I fulfill it well. The wake-up call, man. Just like the coffee that you smell first thing in the day and say, yeah, life is good, man. Life is very, very good.